Oh, hey, Trevor.
Papa, yes, dude. Are you ready for the quick stat segment? Where's your prep?
I just got here.
Dude, I need to know dragon stats. Like, what is the average lifespan of a mountain drake in the LCK?
Trevor, I have no idea.
What is the point of bringing you here if you are not ready for quick stats, if you don't know dragon information? Like, come on!
I just need to know where the talent room is.
Dude, seriously, this is all that matters. This is all that matters. I need you for the segment. I need your prep. Where are you going? No, you can't do that. Papa, you can't, dude. Quick stat. Papa! Papa!
Get it clean.
Guess I couldn't catch all the trash. Welcome to Between Two Iverns. I'm Ender. This is PapaSmithy. Tell me, how does it feel coming from a minor region to be promoted to the LEC?
Never have a chance as long as we fight fair. Said you want a shot? Try bringing KT, NG, and Air. Woo! What's up, Papa? You want to rap out? We can go anytime, any place.
Dracos, I'm just trying to prep, mate.
Oh yeah, trying to prep for your inevitable destruction in worlds. Got it. Let's go. Popping off. Korea's free.
You nailed it, mate. To be honest, I preferred flowers.
So I'm thinking, next Medivedi intro, I come in like a swan and you catch me.
I have to catch you?
Yeah, you catch me,
But
and I just dive in.
You've been bulking up, Vedius. I can't catch you. It's
What?
too heavy.
Okay, what if we had another person? Medivedi PapaSmithy time! Let's go! So I...
You and him catch you together, and then together we play Medivedi.
I guess I'm in a year. Might as well make it work.
Welcome to Berlin, Germany, the home of the LEC. It is week 7. We are gearing up for playoffs, and every single one of our teams has got a look in at getting one of those top 6 spots. Gentlemen, we have got an exciting day for you because I am joined by, as you may have guessed, PapaSmithy all the way over from the LCK, as well as Ender for Ready Check. And Papa, it's the first time we have an Aussie on the show, but also you've been upgraded. You're casting the best region in the world. How does it feel?
I thought we were done with these recordings.
Papa promoted to LEC.
You know, it's great to be here. I've been here for MSI before, but actually be here for a regional week to make that cluster transfer, something we haven't seen since what, like Jat and D-Man were swapping around 6 years ago. It's hype, and this week, what a final match we have, but a great week of League of Legends before then as well.
Absolutely. This is week 7. We are really gearing up for playoffs. 3 weeks left of the regular season. And as I said, every single team has got a look in at getting that top 6 spot. As you can see with the standings right now, even down at the bottom of the table, we have chances.
Yeah, we definitely do. But for me, the two biggest question marks are this 5-6 spot, Origin and Vitality, because these two teams had very different stories. Origin to go from being a finalist in spring to having a very mediocre start to the split so far, now finding themselves in the middle of the pack. Where on the other side of that coin, Vitality were in the dumps at the start of the split. They were down there with Excel at the start, but they've been climbing themselves up, and now they're in a position to try and fight for playoffs.
It's just insane that really no one is written off. Yes, Excel and SK have struggled, but Excel coming off that first 2-0 week is going to be hyped to track them this week. G2 seems pretty entrenched at the top. That part is real, but even they can take a morale-losing matchup this week if they do drop a game to Fnatic.
And mentioning, we've actually got some sub-ins this week as well, which could affect how these teams perform going out through their particular games this week. We've got Yenax subbing in for SK, but we also have Blomster Finn subbing in for Rogue.
Yeah, I mean, Finn's going to be the name that a lot of people know because he was up on the LEC stage for 6 games last split playing with this Rogue roster. And even back then, he was actually known for the Kled pick. He drew so many Kled bans. This is the type of meta to try and bring him back into the table. He's also sitting at rank 18 on the solo queue ladder at the moment, so he's definitely been putting in the work. And Rogue have been, as an organization, very vocal with the fact that they want to share time between Finn and Prophet.
And Pyrion struggled a bit, so you can kind of understand them messing with him. Another Korean player I'm going to miss out on. Grill is still going to be good to go for Misfits, right?
Papa. I've got some bad news.
More bad news?
Yeah. A lot of our Korean players are not playing this weekend, buddy. I'm sorry. You came at the wrong time.
And as anybody that doesn't know, I'm from the European Masters, so if you haven't actually seen Yenax play, he kind of built a name there in the European Masters, and I can say a little bit, he's got a very broad champion pool. He's a player that really is quite dependable in the mid lane. He's probably not going to have the same kind of pop-off performances that Leader has, but I think if you want a rock in the mid lane with a broad champion pool, Yenax is going to provide that for you, and maybe that's what SK needs, given that Pyrion hasn't really been the best performing member of that team.
I mean, at this point, SK just need to shake something up.
Definitely.
So I think mid lane was a huge, gaping wound for this team for a long time. You know, Pyrion had not been performing to the level he needed to be for this team to try and climb their way out of 10th place. So Yenax, I'm not sure if it's going to be a great improvement, but something had to change for this team.
And I think, actually, if we look down at the bottom of the standings, XL right now. Now, they had an excellent week last week, 2-0. So that was the first 2-0 week that XL have ever had in their organization's history in the LEC. And they look like they're gearing up. They look like they're trying to mount a comeback here to go for that playoff spot.
Yeah, it's still going to be an incredibly difficult journey for this team. They need to win so many games because they started off so weak in the split. But especially in these matches, Expect and Caedral, I think, had 2 immaculate performances. Caedral, especially in this Silas game, almost single-handedly carrying a lot of these team fights.
And this squad, is coming from a long way back after where Spring, went for them. There was a bit of a misfire. They made that roster change, and they're building. And it's potential they're building to something great. They've got a real acid test today against Splice. We'll get into more of that later, but there's the potential this won't just be top of the table versus bottom of the table, as XL are trending up.
And XL also brought out some pretty interesting picks. Camille mid, it's not something that we haven't seen before, but it's definitely a little bit spicy. We also saw Caedral's Silas jungle. We've had a lot of interesting picks in the LEC, though, over the last week, and especially on 9-14. I want to have a look at some of the picks that have been a little bit more interesting, and we can sort of go over some of them here. Tristana is what we're starting with.
None more interesting than this Tristana in the mid lane. I believe Caps talked about in an interview first, but it was Jizuke to pull it out on the stage here up against Rogue, and it looked very, very strong, both early shove inside of the laning phase, very strong in these types of skirmishes, but also that same late game scaling that you're going to get out of the likes of a Corki or a Zir.
And then moving on to the Kiana jungle was obviously a big pick that we saw as well that can be super, super aggressive and high, but this is a pick I'm very used to from Korea. The top lane Kled, everyone knows about the buff on patch 9.14. It changed some of the matchups, but in other ones, if you can weather the storm, it's a champion that can play on the weak side. It's hard to actually kill off completely because of the Skull dismount. And if you scale up, that mid game, that engage is insane.
Yeah, there's definitely options here like that Kled pick. I think we did see the Jax could be a tough matchup for it, the Kennen as well, as these sort of tools try and deal with this type of a pick, but it's definitely one we're going to see a lot more of, especially with Finn coming into the LEC.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to any kind of out of the ordinary picks that we could see coming into this week. But speaking of out of the ordinary picks, one of our mid laners, Leader, who is known for some more off-meta picks in that mid lane, he spoke on Euphoria on his opinion on European mid laners.
I want to first talk a little bit about the Corki Azir meta. And Leader, you feel like the perfect guy to ask. Like, what's going on in mid lane? Why is this Corki Azir happening? Like, you can give me team perspectives are good too. From your personal perspective, how do you feel about this?
I think people pick them because they're hard to get punished, and people don't really play the counters to it. Like Assassin's counters, Corki Azir, but people just don't have the balls to pick them because they think more about team comps and they feel like it's a waste of practice. They're like, I'd rather just play Azir Corki. I like both matchups, scale too late and deal shit ton of damage. But the weakness of these champions is that you can't really skirmish with it at all early game. So it all comes down to the jungle pick then, of course. Like that's why Olaf is getting seen more. The champion has no bad matchups almost, or nobody plays the bad, like the good matchups into it, like Nidalee and stuff like that. You know, like the complete solo queue champs. But Nidalee was a counter to Olaf, but I guess people still don't have the balls to pick Nidalee into it.
I'm not sure I can repeat verbatim what was said in Euphoria there, but the mentality that Leader has is very different, and I like that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that has not played a single range champion all split long. No Azirs, no Corkis, none of that boring stuff. So if there's anyone to try and call out this scaling type meta, it has to be Leader, our resident assassin player.
And I think he's honestly onto something, because I think with infinite time, there would be a lot more specialization and playing these more niche picks. But people do get scared. They do default to, well, this fits any comp. I'll pick the any comp champion and kind of make it a perfect performance on that. But if you can find those little extra vantage points that people aren't looking at, optics and lack of scrim time against certain picks, you can get big results, and that's what Leader's alluding to. And I think often he's able to master champions that other people don't even touch.
And Leader isn't the only player that has been picking out of the ordinary or spicy picks. We've had a few of them over the last week in the LEC, and this is where you guys at home get to join in. We are playing a game here called OP or Int. All you need to do in Twitch chat is spam OP or Int when we talk about some of the more interesting choices in champions that we've had over the past week. And we're going to kick things off with Whippo's special, Rengar top.
All right, so, you know, we've seen it do well, we've seen it do poorly. I'm going to come out here and say the Rengar top lane is an int because it's so unreliable. We've seen it do very well, we've seen it do very poorly. I think a big factor in this is you have to set up a team to play around it, specifically the top lane 2v2. If you don't have a strong jungler to go alongside it and to try to define these fights, you're never going to be able to build up a lead.
I still think it's situationally OP. The Twisted Fate combo we saw came out, can be really, really strong, but I think if you're just thinking, I'm going to do it, play it like the pros, take Rengar into Kennen, and I'll be okay, it's a tactical int from you. So don't necessarily go that way in solo queue, but if you set up the right side of the map, it can pay off.
Yeah, and I also think, you know, Whippo talked about it being a good answer into the likes of the Kennen, the Nico, these range, all these range top laners, right? But there's way better and more reliable options too, like the Jarvan in the top lane.
So attention, this is Twitch chat's results live being updated.
Well done, Twitch.
It is 86% int for Whippo's Rengar top lane.
Now, let's be fair. It is fun to spam int. So.
It is fun to spam in, of course. Let's have a look at our next pick. This is going to be something that's a bit more contentious, a bit more meta. It's Kennen top lane on hit.
No, that's an int. On hit Kennen is a total int here in EU. Our LEC teams, and this goes back multiple years, have never been good at playing on hit or AD Kennen in the top lane. Our teams are not very prepared for trying to go for these types of split push styles. And last week, we saw 3 Kennen games. 1 AP game, that was the win. 2 AD games, those are the 2 losses.
All right, you've lost me already, Ender. On-hit Kennen might be one of the most overpowered champions in the current meta. If you're going to be very particular about your verbiage, focus on NAU recent performances, sure, but I think this champion can just take over a side lane and do decently in team fights without being the AP Kennen. Now, if all you want to do is team fight, all you want to do is go mid, absolutely. Don't even bother with the on-hit Kennen, but to call it in, come on, this champion is OP.
I'm calling it in because what I've seen with our teams here in the LEC doing, our teams are much more comfortable going for these mid-game team fights than they are trying to spread out and play different side lanes to go for a split push win condition.
Well, I think PapaSmithy's made a pretty good argument because we have swayed it to almost 50-50. It's working its way up towards OP, but it's just
come on, do it for Papa, do it for Papa.
Don't do it, that's
how far we're gonna
bias.
I'm all for the bias, I'm here.
All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there because I think that cuts the split in half. It's just hovering over to OP. So let's have a look at our final pick, which I'm sure Twitch chat will love to talk about. It's going to be Blitzcrank support, which Ignar played last week.
So I'm going to go ahead and say Ignar's support, Blitzcrank, was pretty int. We're seeing on screen the only hook he landed in that entire game. Maybe that's a little bit over the top, but yes, I think situationally this champion can be OP, particularly against the likes of the Tahm Kench with that shield cutting ability. It can be very powerful in specific matchups. but you got to play it well. That's very important too.
You have to invest a lot of resources. Actually not that different to the Rengar top, for example. If you send a lot of resources bot lane and you can just blanket the bot side of the map, Blitzcrank's roaming mid, or maybe potentially looking for a hook over a wall, if you can't deal with that, the champion is super powerful. And I'll make one point super clear. Regardless of that, in solo queue, this champion is super, super strong right now because easy to hit that hooks when you got that imperfect information. And fans seem pretty on the OP hype train.
Fans are on the OP hype train. I think it is a niche pick. Obviously, it has its uses.
In pro play.
Hey, Twitch chat, you're on it with the OP there. We were actually going to include Annie top from Wunder, but then we realized that anything that G2 plays would probably be considered OP. And G2, speaking of them, they're the reigning MSI and LEC champions. But what makes them so bloody good? Well, we have Vedius standing by to tell us exactly what.
Thank you very much, Excoundrel. Yes, I am Vedius, and today I'm going to be talking a little bit about what makes G2 so good, and I wanted to focus in on their bot lane and how they utilize Fog of War. So when we bring up the replays and have a look at exactly what they do so well, we have an example of their last week's game versus Origin. The first thing I want to draw your attention to is the current state of the bot lane. Notice how the wave is centered in the middle, and this melee matchup alongside the Gragas with the Yasuo can't really look to move up or set up any kind of play. What G2's bot lane do notice, though, is that they are very close to level 6. So what they do is they go over towards the Krugs to try and help Perkz get that level 6 mark. The reason why that is will become very obvious in a bit. So notice, here we see their focus is just getting to level 6, and then they abandon the Krugs. Then notice how Perkz positions in the lane. What he's going to do is Mickey is going to walk into lane, and notice how Perkz in this situation does not cross this line. The vision that can be seen by this minion comes to about here, and Perkz is doing everything that he can to just stay outside. He's not giving the information to his opposition as to where he is. And the reason why he's doing this is because he wants to set up a play onto the enemy 2 versus 2. Patrick and Mithy in this situation have assumed that he's gone back to base. They still don't know where he is. They see Mickey here, and they assume that Mickey is just trying to hold the wave, trying to slow it down, waiting for Perkz to be able to return to lane. So they feel the need to push it in. They feel the need to try and get this in a situation where they can reset and go back to base themselves. What they don't expect is Perkz to be lying in wait with the level 6, the knockup comes through, the ultimate lands, and they find themselves a quick 2 versus 2 kill. A great demonstration of how they can utilize Fog of War and an overall good awareness of where they can find that kill. But the bot lane plays do not stop there. Again, in the same game, notice how in this situation, once we look at the minimap once more, they have full pressure around the bot side of the map. So they have vision here, they have vision here, they have the Corki in the river, and Elise is there as well. This forces Patrick and Mithy to play more defensively, more towards the back end. They can't approach the wave. This means that what they have to do is this allows Perkz and Mickey to get the push up. Now, what most bot lanes will do in this situation is maybe they'll sit around. Maybe they'll look to get a bit of vision on the enemy blue buff. Maybe they'll wait for the wave to bounce back, and they'll just keep in the 2 versus 2, not the duo of Mickey and Perkz. Instead, what they do is they roam up through the river. They know they have full vision control again, because we highlighted on the minimap these control wards that they had set up many minutes ago. They wanted to see if they could find a pick. So that's exactly what they do. What Origin realize is, okay, look, maybe they're on Dragon rather. Maybe they're in a position where they're going for an objective. We want to try and move around and see if we can get some information. But by the time they realize this, the duo is already in a position to set up the play onto mid lane. Origin are not expecting it. Mickey and Perkz are lying in wait, and with a great utilization of the Corki package, the Gragas, and the Yasuo ultimate, they find a very quick pick and continue to snowball their early game lead. And the whole point that I wanted to emphasize is how great this duo is at finding advantages, and it's just through a use of a lack of information from the enemy team. They deny vision. They utilize the Fog of War in order to pick their opponents off, catch them off guard, and snowball those goal leads. Now, you'll be able to watch G2 later today as they go up against Vitality, but tomorrow they will be facing up against Fnatic in our match of the Eons.
Oh, Caps! He just solo killed Perkz!
Are you kidding me?
The
fastest win of spring, G2 destroy Fnatic.
G2, the perfect teammate!
G2 Esports, Fnatic. The main event, for sure. I would have had these two teams in the top 5 teams in the world. Fnatic need to prove that the G2 victory wasn't just a fluke. Meanwhile, for G2, finally it's personal for them.
Fnatic, they managed to beat G2 Esports in what was an absolutely brutal game.
That's a lot of damage on Caps. Whippo does not have the ignite, but Caps is just forced away. Caps has to flash the chase! Fnatic do to G2 what G2 have done so many times before. They obliterate them.
It showed just how relentless these two teams are when they go up against each other.
It was like a solo game. At some point, enemy team had 15 kills and everything could one-shot me. For the next game, I will look to just win my lane.
Topside didn't go as planned, so it was kind of unwinnable, but also, yeah, we were really trolling. This time we won't troll.
If you look at it from Fnatic's perspective, they beat G2 with their best champions and used G2's volatility against them.
Only very few teams can match them in terms of individual talent.
This is what peak League of Legends looks like, and it comes from Europe!
But luckily for us, we're one of those teams.
Fnatic are the kings of the West, and they will represent in the World Final!
I think that when all their players are playing well, they look at their strongest. Once some of their players start making mistakes, it's usually the others that pick up the pace.
Kind of scary thing about G2 is that they're doing even more than the human eye can sometimes notice.
G2, they look stronger than ever in Europe, and I have a feeling that they are looking to get revenge for their only loss of the split so far.
I was counting recently, and I think G2 is 17-16 against Fnatic all time. So we can't lose to make them draw. Me and Mickey have been killing our opponent 6 games in a row now, so there's gonna be another one on the list.
If we were to pick on someone from Fnatic, it would probably be their Nemesis or Broxa, because they seem like the easiest targets in their team.
I would like to see G2 try to come and steal my lunch money. I don't think that's happening anytime soon.
You wanted to see that Dragon Rage?
Go, the play!
And a player like Jankos, for many people, the MVP of summer, like Broxa, put him in the dumpster last time.
You see that in the First Blood participation, right? The First Blood King is no longer the First Blood King. Brox has taken over.
Questions for me in this matchup are all around the early game. Whippo, Hylissang, Broxa, they will have to unleash their aggression and their creativity to inflict enough damage so G2 doesn't get to their devastating mid-game.
We don't play late games. 2 or 4 games went past 30 minutes. Every early game was one early game.
Caps with an axe to grind, 98 times out of 100. He's looking to style.
So who wants to kill the king?
I am not a king. I am not a god. I am
worse. It's history in the making, and the outcome of this match could very well decide who gets the first seed for Worlds. I think this is going to be one of the most exciting games we're going to see all split, and I can't wait.
The games against them are always really bloodthirsty, really fun, and I just want to know where this one takes us.
I don't want to sound like too cocky, but I don't think we're gonna lose this split. I already visualize myself lifting the trophy. The first step is LEC and then Worlds.
Fnatic's aiming for first place. You want to be the best. You want people to see that you're the best.
I don't think anyone would be okay with us going second. We want to like win everything.
Motivated G2, big match feel. Let the games begin.
I'm just not sure how much more you can add to that. This is the ticket match. This is the pinnacle of LEC League of Legends right here. G2 versus Fnatic. It is our top 2 teams facing up against each other. What more can you say?
You circle it on the calendar, those big games. Telecom Wars in years past, maybe it's G2 versus Fnatic supplying that, because this is the rivalry the globe is going to want to watch.
Yeah, this is going to be so exciting to see here too, because these two teams have topped Europe for so long now. You know, they're head-to-head, 18 wins to G2, 17 wins to Fnatic, but throughout the years, it's always been one team that's been on top. G2 at the start, last year was Fnatic's year, now it's G2 back again, but Fnatic actually have the head-to-head so far in 2019 over G2, so this could be great.
It's going to look like it's a bit personal now for G2. Yeah. They want to get that win. Now, that is our last game of the week. Obviously, Saturday game at the end, game 5. Let's have a look at today's games and the predictions that come along with them. And you can see here that we've got our predictions of all of our analysts, and you guys are pretty much in accordance, especially on the Origin game. I went a bit spicy and went for Misfits, but why is it that you think Origin are going to take this? Because they haven't looked particularly good recently.
I mean, They've looked average, I'd say, so far this split. Not at the same level that we would have expected of this team, but still good enough to beat Misfits, because Misfits are still a volatile force, an unknown factor here in our league where they came in from the ERL. So I still think that this team is a little too inconsistent for me, especially Leader and Kire out of the jungle have not been able to consistently replicate solid performances.
And I think for Misfits, very simply, a lot of sleight of hand into the Leader side lane carry. Big issue for them there is Nuke Duck, he's got that huge champion Ocean. If he finds the right pick, maybe Leader doesn't get going, maybe Misfits don't get going.
So the only one that you disagreed on was Splice versus XL, which, as you can see, is our first game of the day. So let's dive into that matchup.
You both are trolling, by the way. You're both trolling.
Hey, what's your language?
I'm not trolling, dude. I genuinely think XL have got a good shot here. Their roster has looked incredibly clean. And in general, their drafts have started to shape up too, Papa.
Yeah, honestly, at the end of the day, I think that XL, look, they have a pretty tricky schedule. They also have to win 3 matches, and they're right down the bottom. But I looked at their draft against Misfits, and I looked to that as kind of an inclination that this team is really on the rise. Specifically, what they're able to do, we're going to have their schedule on screen here. It's going to be tricky because of their opposition.
Yeah, because usually the magic number is 9 wins. They're sitting at 3 right now with 6 games left to play, and they still have to play Splice, Fnatic, and G2. This is going to be almost an impossible run for XL.
Yeah, you do need to win every single game to get that magic number of 9 that we often talk about when it comes to the playoff spots within the LEC. I will actually bring us back to that draft point now because it is something that we did want to touch on. It was specifically the draft versus Misfits that you wanted to have a look at.
And the thing I like about this is that XO had that slow build. They finally put this roster together. They've talked about how Mickey is really upping them together as a team. And then now the draft, as the final piece of that puzzle, comes together where it's a real top side focus draft. The Rumble top here, it's a very established pick from Expect and a good matchup against Vladimir, can do a lot of pushing. Sejuani Camille, which you're going to see a couple of times on screen here, is that really potent duo for focusing mid lane. And all these plays, the top side, Expect, Mickey, the 2 Korean players, and Caedral roaming through, and they decimated first the enemy jungler, then honestly the entire game.
Yeah, they just kept running in and killing Kire inside of his own jungle. But for me, the biggest standout was Expect on his Rumble. This is a champion he's liked to go for in the past, but specifically his rotations out of the top lane. He has had such a big influence over his team's games, topping the charts in terms of kills and assists at 15 in this last week. His ability to not just win his lane, but turn an advantage there into the rest of the map is absolutely fantastic.
These are his stats from week 6, and you can see first in KDA at 15, first in his own jungle presence, as well as great stats otherwise.
I think the jungle proximity is a funny stat.
It's a crazy stat,
because usually it means the jungler is ganking your lane. With Expect last week, it was more like he was running around, finding his jungler, and then killing the enemy.
Well, it's a plan coming together. Everything came together for XL, and if they can replicate that, I think they can beat Splice.
Well, actually, obviously, you talked about that duo between Expect and Caedral. We actually have Caedral standing by for an interview with Laure, so we'll send it over to them.
Thanks, guys. Laure here, and joining me today is Caedral ahead of his first game. Thank you very much for joining me today. You had your first 2-0 last week. Any thoughts on the performance you had?
I think it's hard to say. I mean, it's great to have a 2-0 because the mood's a lot better now. But I think there were 2 weak teams, so it's kind of hard to judge how strong we are as a team. But I think this week it'll be a good challenge.
Yeah, this week we will a good challenge indeed. Is the pressure affecting you guys, knowing the schedule you have ahead?
Not really. It feels like we do have a chance to make playoffs, right? But I mean, I think the other teams are more pressured, I feel like, apart from G2, of course, because they still haven't clinched their playoff spots. So, yeah, we're definitely trying our best.
Any special thing to focus on to keep your head straight, knowing that every game counts from now on?
Nothing in particular. I think that if we all just try our best and stay calm, we will definitely perform well. I think as a team, we're quite strong and a bit underrated, I feel like. I think we had a really shaky start to the split, but I think now we're coming together more. So I think we'll be a lot better.
The team is clicking better, I feel?
Definitely.
Great. Well, I'm really happy to hear that. Thank you so much for the interview, and good luck today. Now back to you guys.
It's lovely to hear from Caedral. They're coming off that 2-0 week, but they're keeping their expectations tempered, which is nice. And I think they have to, because they're going up against Splice, who are currently joint second in the lead, in the tables with Fnatic. And you can see that Splice in general have been fairly impressive, Ender.
Yeah, I mean, they're topping the table right now, top 3 at least, definitely in the fight for Athens here. But that doesn't come without some issues. And if you are XL, trying to attack them in the mid game, because this team will not take off at the same speed as as are other top teams in the league. This is a squad that can sometimes get caught out. And if you look at this graph here, you can see G2 Fnatic, they explode past the 10 and 15 minute mark, where Splice sort of stagnate. And a lot of this comes down to the fact that they're not actively seeking you out and tearing you apart like those other top teams.
It definitely feels more to the kind of classical Korean reactionary playstyle rather than trying to blow up the map like G2 is most famous for, but Fnatic this season have done a really good job of. So it's just different styles, and sometimes they miss those opportunities that can kill the game pre-30.
Yeah, I do love this graph. I think it contextualizes what we talk about when we say Splice mid-game, but irrespective of that, they've still clinched 9 wins. They're still at the top of the table and second, and XL have their work cut out for them. There are 3 weeks left in the race for playoffs, and the battle for Athens too. Every game counts.